my hosts tonight. Well, I'm LumiTheLock, your host tonight. My other co-hosts are, I'll let them introduce themselves. Starting first with the man on, I actually don't know what square he's going to be on, so Engwar, take it away.
Hey guys, I'm Engwar. Playing ESOs. I jumped in closed beta. I helped out with the GBN launch party. That was kind of fun and interesting. Took a small break and now I'm back and ready to rock and roll. So let's have some fun. Find all the good juicy bits that happened at Guild Summit.
Pass off to Talex.
All right, go ahead, Talex.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something before you wanted me to start talking.
Oh, bro, go ahead.
Okay. Well, hi, I'm Talex. I have also been playing since the closed beta and for many months. I am the guild master of Daggerfall Lacrosse team. We are one of the few progression rating guilds on the Daggerfall Covenant side. Check us out at www.daggerfalllacrosseteam.com. And I'm just happy to be here and talk about what's happening in the upcoming changes to ESO.
Indeed.
All right. And our fourth person tonight is actually with us live from the Guild Summit. His name is Garbrac.
Yes, so I am live from the Guild Summit. Not that anybody else isn't live, because essentially we're all live. But yes, I am at the Guild Summit right now. I am in my hotel room. We just got back from dinner, and I have a ton of information that I'm going to be spewing over the next week and a half. But mostly, a lot of it's going to be tonight. We'll cover, what are we going to cover? We're going to cover some of the crafting stuff that's going to be changing. A lot of the feedback that we gave them. I think that's, oh no, there's one more piece of information. It's nothing really important, but I guess I could talk about what exactly the champion system is.
The champion system? We're finally going to get some more info on that?
More info? I know, like, everything about it.
Oh,
okay,
man.
so should we start the show off with that, or should we wait till later?
I think
we'll save
I think
that.
I feel like we need to save that because that's probably going to eat up a lot of our time.
Okay. And for his picture, since you guys can't actually see him, we're using Moloch Bob.
Oh, Moloch Bob. I love him.
Nice.
Moloch Bob. He's such a good guy. Just so anybody who doesn't know, Moloch Bob is Moloch Ball's brother. He's the older brother. He's a little upset with Moloch Ball. He's not really, they're not really on speaking terms because Moloch Ball's a bit of a, or Moloch Bob is a funny guy. And someone's eating an apple.
An apple.
That not sound like someone munching on an apple?
Sound like a drink.
Oh, all right.
But let's start off with, well, did I get completely introduce myself? Yeah, I don't know if I did, but I'm LumiTheLock and stuff in-game at ESO and stuff. I'm the guild leader for GameBreaker Nation stuff. We're running PvP, PvE events, all sorts of stuff, hanging out, having a good time. We're part of GameBreaker Nation as a whole. We got guilds in WildStar, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, Guild Wars 2, World of Warcraft,
Arcade.
I think it was Destiny. We got clans in Destiny. That's what it was. So we got all those different things going on. Then we always have all these different shows as well going up on GameBreaker TV. We got Battle Talk that's going, and we got a couple other shows that are working on in the pipeline that hopefully you guys will be able to see soon. But let's dig into what is actually, before we hit up all the information that Garbrac's got, we got a lot of information that also came out from ESO's live stream, which he may be able to elaborate more on from what was shown.
Yeah, if you guys touch on topics that I can elaborate on, I'll jump in on them and throw out some information. Just so everybody does know who wasn't here pre-show or whoever wasn't watching us live, I do have all the recordings. I threw up my recording microphone on when we sat down and did the conference. So I have all these sessions in audio form. They'll be up on my YouTube channel, YouTube/Garbrac. Apologize, the audio won't be like crystal clear because it is from a phone and I was in the middle of the room. So, but I mean, at least you guys will be able to hear exactly what we heard. So there is no NDA, even though I signed an NDA when I went in.
That was weird because they totally announced in their live stream, like, okay, there's going to be no NDA, and then they made you sign one. That's kind of
Yeah, like when we went in, we signed in, we registered that we were in, we got our visitor tags, and they made us sign an NDA. Now, what we went through isn't under any NDA, but what we see on the computer screens as we're walking through the office is. So that's why we said to sign the NDA.
So anything you may have saw like along the way.
Yeah, like there was people making loading screens for some of the stuff that's coming up and stuff like that. So. And
well,
at dinner, I had like, oh man, I spent most of the entire dinner speaking to Lawrence, and I have to tell you, Lawrence is a phenomenal man. Like the guy is just. I don't know.
Did you get his number?
I might tomorrow because I mean the guy is just—he's so smart. Like
so there's two people you missed numbers from: the girl in the elevator and his. Come on, man! What the hell?
That's 2 for 2, man. That's 2 for 2.
Yeah.
I'm not trying.
Obviously.
all right.
Anyways, as we were talking about last week and stuff, there's the different trials in the Dragonstar Vet Arena. Well, I believe last week when we talked, only one guild on the American side had downed Vet Dragonstar. Well, one of the people we're actually associated with, they downed it, Blizaria and her group. And then I believe 6 other groups have downed Vet Dragonstar Arena. And I believe 2 guilds now have downed Sanctum Ophidium, the toughest raid right now that is in ESO. So there have been, people are starting to make more progress on the raids as we go along. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens there.
And just for the record, for anybody, let's not bring up the girl in the elevator because I might have to see them tomorrow, and if any of them are watching this, that's going to be a very awkward conversation tomorrow.
So just a shout out to girl in the elevator. I was the one that encouraged him to get your number. Sorry about that.
But some of the big stuff they talked about in the ESO live stream was, and this was really interesting for grouping, having a good time with friends, is the fact that all dungeons will scale to you now, depending on who's the leader. So you could take from my understanding, and you'll have to elaborate on this, is you take like a VR14 and jump into regular spindle clutch, and it'll level up to VR14. Is that kind of correct?
Yeah, like it won't go up to, I don't believe it goes up to VR14. I think it goes up to VR12 or VR10. It's 10 or 12. The reason being is because they want the hardest difficulty to be the newest content, which in 1.5 it's going to be the City of Ash, or yeah, the City of Ash. So yeah, it will scale to the group leader. So I believe, like I said, it goes up to Vet 10. And you're able to do all the non-vets as well, and you're able to do the vets in scalable mode. So the way it works is if the leader is a Vet 3 and you go in with a Vet 14, it's going to scale to the Vet 3, and all the loot will be Vet 3. So
okay, so it's the leader. The loot will be the thing of the leader then. Yeah.
So it's a slightly down a down point for that, but the scaling is in, and the scaling is a very important thing. I think it's something that really needed to happen.
Didn't they also say that the scaling isn't going to go lower than what the dungeon zone is scaled at, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like you won't be able to. So level 10 is for spindle clutch. You won't be able to go lower than level 10 on spindle clutch. And same with Dragonstar, or not Dragonstar. Wayrest Sewers is what, 25 or 20. Right. You won't be able to bring that any lower. But
so it sounds to me like it's a great system to bring all of the vet players and the older players down to where if they got a buddy that's just starting up, hey, I'm just starting up, what is this dungeon, can you help me out? And it's like, yeah, I'll come on down, and they're still going to be able to be on par, get some loot, get some XP, and go along with them.
Yeah, like this is essentially the whole scaling thing is a very small step towards what they're planning with the champion system. And what they want to do is they want to give players as many alternatives to leveling as they can. So now you're not forced to do the 3 dungeons at your level. You now can do whatever you want for dungeon wise.
Do you think this could be a segue into like I think Guild Wars and Wildstar have it where there's a system that as you like you get a group of friends that are lower levels in different zones, and the zone levels down to you. And I can't remember what the name of the systems are called, but you're able to do that. Do you think this could be like a progression too as they do that?
I don't think we're ever going to see zone leveling. We'll probably at one point down the road see the player down level to that zone. But that, like I said, isn't anything that we talked about. It's speculation on my part, and it won't happen for a long time in consideration to what we saw today and the timeline that they kind of want. Unfortunately, they didn't give us any like this is when this is coming out, but when we sat there, we kind of got the gist of what their priority is. Like right now, their priority is the justice system and the champion system. Like that's their priority.
I really don't want to see them implement some sort of zone leveling scaling system. I'm not interested in that at all. That's not really fitting for the Elder Scrolls setting. And personally, I did play Guild Wars 2 where they did that, and it was really more obnoxious than anything else, in my opinion. So I'm kind of glad that you're, based off of what you heard at the summit, that they're kind of not pushing that.
Yeah, like I said, it's 100% speculation on my part. It's nothing that they even hinted to. The only reason I say that is because that would offer another alternative to some form of leveling for players.
It's a cat. That's what you guys are wondering. It's a cat. Well, actually, according to Talex, it's a dog.
It looks like a freaking chow, man.
It is not.
It does if you're just kind of looking at it like out of the corner of your eye.
It's a beast.
Oh my god.
Well, then the next part that they talked about on the ESO live stream was the thing that Garbrac's been waiting for the most in the game: dailies.
Dailies! Oh,
yeah.
man.
Everybody's favorite thing, dailies.
Undaunted!
Yep.
To be
Well,
honest with you,
that gets into our
dailies
chat bubbles, but that's later
really-
on. But people were like, "Oh, a rep grind." But as I thought of it, and let me see if I'm correct in this. There's already been 3 different rep grinds essentially in the game. They just don't feel like rep grinds. The Mages Guild picking up the books is essentially a variation of rep grind. The Undaunted, the Chiefs, it's a rep grind. The Fighters Guild, it's a rep grind. Just it's a different variation of a rep grind. All 3 different variations.
It's an XP grind, yeah.
I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but the as far as the guilds go, the Undaunted, the Fighters Guild, the Mages Guild, you know, in other guilds that have had rep grinds, the rewards for those were less tangible and had less of an effect on your gameplay. I actively use a lot of those skills from those lines, so it's kind of a little bit different than a rep grind. I would say it's just like leveling up a skill, that it's required and necessary for, you know, end game builds and itemization and stuff, but yeah, I don't necessarily think that it's a rep grind.
Well, because there technically is no really rep. You're more of, like you're saying, leveling up your skills for the different things. Like Bone Shield is incredibly useful in PvP. Mages Guild, Inner Light, like almost any spellcaster build uses Inner Light from what I've seen, because it gives you almost 20% spell crit. It's just ridiculous.
Well, I mean, Bone Shield itself it's useful in PvE as well. Like it's a very beneficial spell.
I mean, we use it extensively in our rating.
Yeah, like just to go back onto the dailies. The dailies that they're putting in, honestly, don't sound like the dailies that I think of. Like when I hear dailies, I think of the joys of World of Warcraft's dailies and stuff like that. And that's not what they're really intending to do. Yes, essentially they're giving you a quest, for example, the Undaunted one, where you have to go in and either do the vet one or the non-vet one, and you obtain a key for doing it. But there's variations of it. So say, for example, they give you a quest and it says, okay, we want you to go do the vet dungeon, Spindle Clutch. Now, if you finish it, you're going to get a bronze key. If you finish it and kill all optional bosses, you'll get the silver key. If you finish it, kill all optional bosses, and do it within this amount of time, you get a gold key. And the gold key obviously will yield better loot from the chests, these chests will also have unique set items that are only obtainable from these chests, and I think that's a really big push to keeping items rare in the game and keeping people from easily obtaining stuff as they do now.
Well, was I correct when I was listening to the stream that the loots that you're also going to get from like the gold ones are going to be like the head or the shoulders off of like some of the boss, like the end bosses. So it's actually going to be like the trophy, essentially like you're wearing a trophy off the boss.
Yeah, but that's not, that stuff's not going to come from the chest. That's actually going to come from the bosses.
Okay, so they're adding essentially 2 additional loots. If you complete the gold, you'll be getting the one off the end boss plus the one from the Undaunted.
Yeah, and then and essentially the helm that you're going to get is like the face or the head of the boss that you got it from, and that's a really cool aspect because you can make your character look badass with some of that stuff.
Yeah, plus it's supposed to, if I remember correctly, have ability altering enchants. So just like a lot of the new weapons that come out through the Dragonstar Arena, they're going to have some really nice abilities on them that it's going to be, people are going to want them hardcore. So it's going to push people into wanting to do those more often and diversify the different content that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
I like that system a lot because as it stands right now, my guild is our focus is raiding. We basically have no incentive to go back and do any of the vet dungeons at all, pretty much ever, unless somebody needs them for an achievement or something. But that's interesting because all of our gear we either craft or we get from trials. So I like that idea that we would actually have a reason to go back and do some of the vet dungeons and make it a little bit more challenging with the time thing that you were talking about.
It's that carrot, man. You got to have that little carrot to go back and repeat content. I like the way they do that.
Well, there's not enough of a gear grind in this game, I don't think.
Oh, right, yeah.
I think that's kind of what they're building to. Like originally, if I remember correctly, they said they didn't want a gear grind in there. They wanted everyone to be able to access things, but it was more of the crafting thing. They said you could always craft the best gear. And I think they're still kind of dealing with that. Like a lot of the stuff you get right now, it's some of the best stuff, but it's always like purple. So a lot of times you still need to upgrade it to a legendary.
Yeah, like there's legendary items don't really drop from within the game unless it's like from a chest or something like that. So they wanted to keep it rare in a sense that the best gear you'll be able to obtain from just a drop would be purple, and then crafters would have to upgrade it. But I'm not going to talk about the crafting stuff until later because there's a lot of crafting stuff.
Oh boy,
joy! So much information.
Like update 5 has a new thing coming to it that is freaking awesome.
All right, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves yet. We'll get to that in a sec. We have one other daily to cover, and that's the crafting dailies, which I have, like, all they said was that we'll also have crafting dailies. They really didn't elaborate at all on it. So, you got any news on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the way the crafting dailies work is you get sent out to essentially go to this area, and this area you talk to this NPC, and the NPC's gonna be like, oh well, we need some help getting some of this stuff for a war effort or whatever effort it is for. So you go out and you do that, and you'll get a reward, which will yield crafting items with a chance of getting a survey. Now, the survey essentially is the easiest way to explain it. It's a treasure map for crafting. So you're going to get a map, and it's going to send you to a location. When you go to this location, there's going to be multiple nodes of crafting. Like, so if you're an enchanter and you did the enchanting daily, you're going to go to this area, and there's going to be like, I'm trying to think of the screenshot they showed us. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's like 6 different enchanting nodes. Now, these nodes they yield twice as much as normal. So you're going to get like 2 runes from them. But there's designed to yield higher quality items.
So that'd be more of a higher chance to get like a Kuda from the enchanting ones?
Exactly. From doing
nice.
Like if you get the survey, and the survey is not a guaranteed thing. It's a chance thing.
Garbrac,
Nice.
For those of us that have multiple characters, can you do it across multiple characters on your account?
Yeah.
can you do multiple crafting professions in the same day, or do you have to choose, I'm just going to do my blacksmithing one today, and tomorrow I'll do my tailoring?
That I don't know. I don't know if they are going to have a daily for every craft, or if it's going to be one daily for the crafts. So maybe one day you go in and it's an enchanting one. Maybe one day you go in it's a clothier one or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, as long as you can do it on each of your characters and stuff, it still gives you a high chance to get the random things. Because I know plenty of, because we're connected with 2 major trading guilds and stuff. Warlock Trading Company, or no, not Warlock. Warlock's one of the guys I have my contact at, plus Zenman. But Wyvern Trading Company and Saber Trading Company are 2 big contacts for our trading companies, and there's a lot of crafters in there that would be interested in finding out that, because they just would probably rotate through alts and just doing the different things in order to get as many of the high level mats as they could. Because hell, I'll even do that in order to make sure I can craft stuff easier.
Yeah, like the dailies for crafting is definitely going to be a lot of people are going to be doing them. One, just because you get the added experience, and it's also going to help you with your champion points. But just the fact that you get a chance to have the opportunity to get free high quality items, it's like, why wouldn't you do it? It's free gold.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah, and so it increases the inspiration from doing things for a bit. Like, how much did they state, like how much like you'd actually learn from doing the dailies?
No,
Or, like,
they
do they
didn't
give
give
profession?
specific numbers. I mean, it's ZOS. You know, they don't get into numbers.
Yeah, they're not going to go into the specifics.
I mean, there were so many questions that we asked today about specific things, and they were like, we don't know yet, because a lot of the stuff is still in the process, right?
They're like, we can tell you all this, but we can't tell you everything.
Well,
Oh,
most of the stuff we asked was that came up like that was mostly during the champion system. Like I asked, what's going to happen at like when you guys increase the next level cap? Is it going to be 50 plus something, or is it going to be champion points? And they're like, well, to be honest with you, we don't know yet, because that's something they don't have to worry about right now.
yeah, because they still got so much other stuff that they're working on. Like, from what they saw at the QuakeCon video, and probably what you have more of, like today, and then also, he's going to be there tomorrow, guys, all day with a bunch more information. So we're still going to have more for next week's episode that's going to be going on. But there's so much stuff that they're already working on that it's going to take them a while to get all this stuff out.
Justice system.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
Like, I don't want to talk too much about the champion system right yet, but a lot of people don't really understand how much this is going to change the game. Like, it is unbelievable the scope of this system and how much they're doing. Like I've said it before, that this new system has to be the biggest alteration to a game outside of an expansion. Like,
Well, last thing I remember at their QuakeCon thing, they basically said like it'd be almost redoing the entire game.
they're completely redoing end game leveling. Like the vet leveling, it's just the whole thing is changing. And
Yeah.
their whole plan with it is, like I said, they want to give players as many optional ways to level than force them into doing things. Like they even discussed about the potentially of unlocking Caldwell's gold, so you could do it as soon as you hit vet 1. So you don't feel like you're jumping through hoops to get somewhere. You can do whatever you want, which is great.
So you could pick either or zone. Like,
Yeah, like you can do, like if you play DC, you can go and do EP first if you wanted to. Like that's just something they've talked about. They haven't confirmed that they want to do that. I mean, I really hope they do. I think they
yeah,
really
that'd be interesting.
I guess before we really jump into the freaking meat and guts of the champion system, what did they say about I know they talked about chat bubbles were coming for us
7.50.
novel role players like myself. I'm just kind of excited. My question I would pose this even to everybody in chat is, what do you think about chat bubbles? Are you going to use them? Obviously, I probably wouldn't use them.
I'm going to have those turned off
AVA.
as soon as I find the setting.
Right. I mean, yeah.
I was gonna have them turned on. I actually kind of prefer them because then you can see, like, if someone's standing behind you, it's like, oh, the guy's actually talking to me. It's not zone chat or some other chat.
I got to tell you, at least in my guild, like our biggest thing is when I heard that they were doing chat bubbles, I was kind of mad because I really don't care about chat bubbles. I would really rather them fix group leader bug, which annoys the crap out of me in my
Yes.
guild on a nightly basis. You know, I'm all for extra content and things getting implemented and new features and all of that stuff. I'm very excited about a lot of this stuff, but I really would also appreciate them fixing some stuff that's broken in the game. And if they need to like take away something, in my opinion, that's kind of dumb, like chat bubbles, I would much prefer that. So my question to you, Garbrac, is: did they say anything about group leader bug? Because I hate that shit.
They didn't say anything specifically about the group leader bug, no. But I mean, I could bring that up tomorrow in one of the discussions.
If you
Yeah,
would
we
do
spent-
that, that would be amazing.
Yeah, we spent about 20 minutes last night trying to form one dungeon group because we're having so much issues with the group leader bug. But the thing is, like, also, it's just because I've dealt in conversations with a lot of people that are design games, different things. Like in WoW, I know that they have their multiple groups there. Each one's focusing on different things. And ESO has said that multiple times. They have different groups focusing on different things. And it could have been like they have a RP group that this was just one of the things that they worked on. And it was like, here, we'll present it up. Where the other guys that are fixing bugs are like, really? You're bringing that and putting that up when we still haven't fixed the bugs. Now it's going to make us look bad.
I mean, I would really rather them ship more guys on the fixing bugs. That's just my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Well, I mean, when it comes to bugs, it's not as. I mean, I'm going to sound like a fanboy for this, but it's not as simple as just going and being, there you go, it's fixed. There's a lot that goes into trying to figure out why it's doing it. I mean, you want to figure out what's causing the problem before you just put a Band-Aid over it, you know what I mean? And it's detrimental to the community as well because you have to deal with this prolonged delay while they try to figure it out. But I'd rather them try and figure it out and then fix it than put a Band-Aid over and then we start bitching about the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, before we move on from chat bubbles, I do want to say one thing. Apparently, ESO beat SWTOR to chat bubbles. Sorry, Larry. I just had to throw that out there.
In a group event, I think chat bubbles are going to be much more useful than
Yeah.
trying to look down at your chat because it's right in your face. Like if you're playing in a dungeon and you see a big cat in the middle of your screen, get the fuck out. You're gonna be like, that's me. I gotta move. Because a lot of people don't read their chat or even read their chat when they're trying to concentrate on something. So once something pops up in the center of your screen in this giant bubble, it's more prominent, right? So you have a little bit more focus to that.
Yeah.
As soon as I see in the patch notes that gets implemented, the first thing that I'll be doing is going and trying to find the setting to turn it off.
Well, 1.5x is when it came out, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be on the PTS for this patch, so I'll be making sure, like, if I find out where it is, I'll make sure to let you know, Talex, and, like, probably be doing a video of a lot of stuff as it's on the PTS, because I've been trying to do Radic ESO informational, which is just kind of like I'll hop onto the PTS and go over some of the information that's going on. But I think that was most of the stuff for the ESO live stream. Did I miss anything, guys?
No, I think you pretty much touched base on it all. Yeah.
The only thing I think I missed was something that they just said that I don't know if the rest of you guys caught for the Dragonstar Arena. People already kind of complained about how long it takes with all 5 of the waves during all 10 rounds, and apparently they originally wanted they were going to do 10 rounds for each 10 waves for each round.
Yeah, it was originally 10. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
they wanted 10 rounds. Like when it first came out, they put 10 QA tests. It was like, holy crap, this is just way too long. But 5 waves isn't too bad. I mean, 5 waves is nothing.
Yeah. All right, well, since we're done with most of that stuff, apparently it's time for the meat of the story.
Oh,
The
yeah,
Guild
what's
Summit.
up?
On Twitter today. You would know some of this already because I was tweeting it out. But I'm gonna tell you two things. I'm gonna hit the 2 things. 5 in patch 1.5. There's a new style coming, and I know what it is.
You kind of breaking up, Garbrac.
I'm breaking up.
You're breaking up to the point where we kind of really can't understand you.
Means I'm probably gonna disconnect for a second.
Don't leave us!
You're our link to the inside, man. Don't do it.
And I said,
We'll be stuck with Talex's bad jokes.
Oh.
Oh man, I've got a whole list just waiting for him whenever he disconnects.
am I choppy or no?
Just go for it, man. We'll try to translate.
Yeah,
For
we'll
you.
try to translate for you. I am robot.
Oh, he dropped the call.
So, guys, apparently that's it for the. Oh, never mind. We're just joking. He'll hopefully be back soon. No, it's like, and now we're gonna get into the meat of the. Oh, okay, he's gone. And someone's already started a conspiracy theory that we dropped it right as we get into the meat of the stuff. Yeah, he was lagging there.
Yeah, he was. Get a fresh call back.
All right, you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so yeah, sorry about this. Okay, sucks balls.
Oh.
There's two styles that are coming. One that's coming in 1.5, and it's really cool how they're doing it. So right now, when you farm for a style, you get a book, and that book teaches you how to do that style for everything, right?
Yeah,
Right.
motifs.
Well, it's a pretty crappy system to begin with. I honestly hate it because, say for example, I'm in a guild and someone gets the, we'll say, I don't know, pick one, pick Ancient Elf. Okay, so we'll do Ancient Elf. If I get Ancient Elf and you get Ancient Elf, there's absolutely no difference between mine and yours. So either one of us can start selling stuff, and there's no profit to be gained in any sense of actually being able to corner a market. And Zenimax thought about that, and they're changing the way they're going to release motifs. So in 1.5, you're going to be able to get the new motif. I'm not going to say it, I'm going to say it at the end. The new motif in two different ways. You can either get the entire book, which they said is unbelievably rare, or you can find the chapters. So every chapter will provide you the ability to craft a style in, say, for example, gloves or axes or legs or something like that. So you'll eventually have to build that.
That's actually kind
Oh,
of sweet.
no.
So it's gonna be more like you can find the entire book, or you can go on a scavenger hunt and like, I specialize in. I have the legs for this style. I have the
But
helm
the
for this.
best of it is that stuff only comes from that style environment. You know what I mean?
Okay. So
So
that
like
would be.
if I'm going to look for the Ancient Elf one, for example, it's not really Ancient Elf. If I'm going to look for the Ancient Elf, it's only going to come from Ancient Elf materials. The new motif, does anybody even want to know what it is?
Of
Nah, not
course.
really. Just move on from it.
So the one that's coming in 1.5 is Dwemer.
Yes.
To get the stuff, you have to farm and look for Dwemer areas. So it only comes from Dwemer areas. You find in Dwemer lock boxes and stuff like that. And the materials to craft it all come from that as well. That's really
So,
cool. I mean, just
Do
the
they
fact
have
that
any plan to make it so that the? I don't think they would, but motifs shared across your alts. Eventually, like if they make a lot of them more like this, where it make it kind of more difficult to do. Because that's one of the parts that always sucks is like switching professions to another character is refining all those motifs for that person.
So making motifs like account bound is what you're talking about, Lumi?
Yes.
I doubt they will. Didn't say anything, but I doubt they would, only because they want each character to feel like its own, right? Like one character might specialize in building bows and being able to do all motifs and bows, whereas another character might be able to do cloth and have certain motifs. And if you do it all count wide, you lose that uniqueness of that character, right?
Yeah.
But they did mention another motif, which is going to come out in City, which is going to be really fun. Oh my god, Imperial City is awesome. But there's a big downside to it. I'll talk about that later. I'm so
The
excited. There's so much. This whole event is like
here's a carrot and then dangle it from your face, but you can't touch it. You can't do anything with it. And it's just like,
Except for talk about it to make it more torturous to you. Like, no, I get to tell other people about the torture and torture them more. Weren't you
Yeah.
complaining about a carrot on a stick the other day?
I always complain about the carrot on a stick. But, I mean, the Guild Summit, it's great because they're providing us with a ton of information that we wouldn't know otherwise. But they're scheduling about an hour and a half for these sessions, and about 30 minutes of it is them telling us all this information. The rest is us giving them feedback on everything that we've experienced so far in the game. So the entire day is essentially just talking about the game as it is. The last 2 hours of the day is new. Today, I'm really impressed with Zenimax's efforts to actually listen to the community and not just be like, yeah. And some of the developers, 4 or 5 pages of notes from us, how we can try and fix things. You guys hear me now?
You're breaking up pretty bad again.
All right. Let me see if I can move this.
We had a feeling this was going to be a bit of an issue because you're on your phone and everything.
All right, is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't cut out again.
All right.
I was just,
Go ahead.
how impressed with them actually being able to take our feedback and listen to it and just be like yes man and kind of think that they're better than us. You know what I mean, I want to knock on Soto, but that how Guild Summit felt.
So that was the first thing. If I remember when you linked me the itinerary, crap, I can't actually remember what was next after crafting on the itinerary.
The first thing we did today, a little bit different than the itinerary, is we talked about combat responsiveness, and they're going to be changing the way combat feels. They showed us a video which I'm going to try and put up on YouTube so you guys can kind of see exactly what they're going to be doing. But, for example, dual wields, your attacks are going to feel a lot more faster. You're going to tackle. It's going to feel you attacking a lot faster. It's going to feel like you're actually hitting them and not just kind of whiffing. And when you miss, like if you're not looking, like if your reticles, you're going to see a difference in the way your swords go. And with heavy attacks, you really see it with heavy attacks on two-handed swords. You really feel the swing itself, and I think that's a great step trying to make combat feel a little bit more cinematic. Like, I mean, Elder Scrolls Online, it's a very cinematic game. Like, it's a very movie-esque game with a combat system that, in a lot of cases, feel pretty stale. Like, it's not a very pretty combat system.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that I'm not really like. I already enjoy the combat a lot and stuff with the different things that are going on there. So, crap, I'm saying stuff again. So there was combat, there was crafting. What else was there for at the Guild Summit?
We talked about crafting and collections. There's going to be a lot of like.
What's collections?
Oh, collections! You guys don't know what collections is. Collections.
No, please explain this.
They're going to be essentially putting in a collection system, such as for your costumes, for your vanity pets, for pretty much your trophies, all that useless crap that fills up your inventory. It's going to be out of your inventory and put into a collection inventory, and your mounts and stuff will go in there as well.
Finally.
Nice.
Although I don't think mounts already take up a spot, but yeah, like all the pets and the costumes and the trophies and stuff, it's like they're taking up so much of my bank space. I had to create an alt and throw them on there. So it'd be nice to actually have that finally freed up and be able to have my pet out and not worry about, oh crap, I'm losing a bank space or bag space because I'm having my pet out hanging around me like my High Rothgar pet, because I'm a loyalty member. Any news on what the next one is supposed to be? Daedric Titan Mount? Come on. Come on.
Oh, for the loyalty thing?
Yeah,
So-
Daedric Titan Mount.
Garbrac, will that collection system be similar to Guild Wars 2, where craftables will be put in a bank type place that's just for them, or is it only going to be for vanity items like pets
It's
and
going to
mounts?
be vanity items and stuff like that. Like crafting will still take up spots in your inventory. But, I mean, the things that take up your inventory the most is provisioning items. And right now they have, I think they said there was like 200 provisioning items in the game right now. And they're actually reducing that by 50%. So there's going to be like 100 items now. And
Good.
I'm going to try to get a shot from them that shows you all the items that they're going to be putting into the game.
That's
A
definitely
really
needed.
cool thing they're going to be adding for provisioning, though, is the fact that you can cook the fish you catch.
About dang time.
I think
Novel
that's one of the
item.
biggest things that made me so excited.
So, hey, Garbrac, I have one more question for you, slightly off topic, but before I forget, I do want to ask you. I understand that tomorrow is PvP day at the summit.
Nope, that was today.
That was today.
Oh.
So, did you hear
Today?
anything? Did you hear anything about PvP arenas?
Define PvP arenas.
Dragon Star Arena, except PvP.
The ones that have been showing at the cons and stuff, like PAX and all the cons.
What about if I told you Dragon Star Arena, but with the aspect that somebody could come in and kill you?
Yes, that's what I
What?
want to know about.
What?
Then yes. We did talk about that.
Please do go on.
Please
Now,
do.
now I'm interested. Because Dragon Star Arena is already a pain in the butt as it is.
Yes. A version of Dragon Star Arena with the aspect that anybody could come, not anybody, but any of the two opposing factions could come in and just annihilate you as you're doing it.
You're not talking about Imperial City, right? Let's just make that clear.
I'm talking about part of Imperial City.
Oh well, okay.
Oh, well, that's different.
I'm
I'm
talking
let
about
down.
the arena section or the arena sector of Imperial City.
Yeah, so in the upper, what is it? The upper right hand corner, I think, of Imperial City. There's two aspects. I guess we might as well talk about Imperial City. There's two aspects to Imperial City. There's the sewers, and then there's the market, which is basically the outer ring. You won't be able to go into the White Gold Tower. That's not something they're going to be doing with the first release of Imperial City. But when there's an arena that is PvP based, but it's a PvE arena, so you can take your group in and try to finish off this PvE arena, and any opposing faction can come in and kill you as you do it, and I think that's really huge. But in order to control Cyrodiil, you have to own your 6 home keeps, or to get into Imperial City, you have to own your 6 home keeps. The downside, and something I really hope they change, is you are never forced out of Imperial City. So essentially, you could stay in there as long as you want. Even if you log out, you log back in there.
Yes.
And I really hope they change that into the fact that I really hope, maybe if you die, you can still stay, but if you log out, you should be forced out. You should be forced out of it, because if they don't, the outside PvP is going to die. I mean, nobody's going to want to do it anymore once they're in, because that's where all the action is going to be. Now, that being said, Imperial City and Cyrodiil still have the same total cap, so there's no queue system for either. Like, if you're in Imperial City and you want to go out and help somebody take a keep, you can leave as much as you want. And to get back in, you have to own your 6 keeps. But Imperial City itself has a lower cap than Cyrodiil. So even though you're in Cyrodiil, you might not be able to get into Imperial City because it might be full and you'll have to queue.
Sounds a lot like a certain Darkness Falls I may know of.
No. Sadly, no.
It does
Shut
though. I mean,
down, shut
if you
down.
all right, if you think about it, come on, let's break it down to the basics. You have
It's nothing like
three
walls. You
realms,
have-
3 alliances, whatever you want to call them, all trying to get their home keeps up so they can get access to the Imperial City. Once they get access, that boots everybody else. They can go in there and clear it. They can play their PvE, have some fun with the PvP until some other alliance has 6 of the keeps up, and then they boot everybody else out. That was Darkness Falls from Dark Age of Camelot.
There's no booting of There's no booting of players in Imperial City, and there's
No, I mean booting them out as in going in there and Zerg clearing them is what I mean.
Yeah, but that's just going to make them res at the sewers, and then they can stand. It's similar to Darkness Falls. When you first zoned into Darkness Falls, you had those stairs to go down,
Right.
those ledges. Similar to that, but minus the ledges. It's just a high fall. That's where they're going to spawn when they die. Or they can spawn where
so it doesn't kick them out of Imperial City altogether.
No, there is no forced remove of players in Imperial City, which is what I was saying. I hope they change, because if they don't, the outside PvP is going to die.
Yeah, it'll just
Yeah,
be all
totally.
mostly in the city.
Yeah.
It's
Once
not
your
gonna
alliance
force-
gets access into Imperial City, you're just gonna ride into
Stay in there.
City. Yeah.
Yeah, like even though Imperial City does have a cap and it is lower than Cyrodiil, people aren't going to leave. Like I can tell you right now, I'm not leaving. Once I'm in there, I'm done. I'm staying. That is my home. I am not leaving.
Yep.
We're gonna lose you, Garbrac? Oh man.
So Garbrac,
Imperial
if
City.
Garbrac, hypothetically, DC takes over the 6 keeps, we get the Imperial City, everybody goes in there and hangs out. I log off because I have to go to work. Overnight, AD comes in and takes all the keeps. And I log back in and I'm still in the Imperial City, like you said. Am I still gonna have access to like all the vendors, the crafting stations, all that kind of stuff because I'm in the Imperial City, or is it kind of switched over to AD and I'm kind of just there?
It depends on how much of the Imperial City AD has taken control of. So Imperial City is owned by the Daedra. Like that's their home. So you have to go in. You actually have to take it back from them to gain access to some of the utilities in the marketplace. So you said, like, for example, you said crafting stations. In order to use the crafting stations, you have to own that area of the market or that district. And if you don't maintain it, the Daedra just take it back, or somebody from the other 2 opposing realms will take it. But if you logged out while in there and AD or EP came over and completely took over the map, you're still in there. You're safe. You can do whatever you want in there. If you have a group, you can go and take stuff back.
You're just probably gonna be killed.
Oh, there's people who are going to farm the entrance, guaranteed.
Yeah, and so
yeah.
I was gonna say is there gonna be able to bring siege equipment to there? Because there's probably, since it's a city, a lot of good spots that you could drop oil on people all over the city.
No, you can't siege inside Imperial City. There's absolutely no. With the change to oil, it would be useless anyways.
Well, I was thinking of like the sewers in Skyrim and the different staggering levels that there was as you went up and through the corridors. If there were certain areas like that, there could be some good sections to drop oil as people are going through the corridors to get back up to where you are.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing really like that. The sewer system, it's not as big as I hoped it to be. Like I said, I was sad when they first showed it to me, because I was originally expecting Darkness Falls, which, if anybody played it, they know how massive and unbelievably huge it is. And as you went further and further into it, it became a raid spot, and that they just don't have that in Imperial City, at least not yet. Maybe that'll be part of the White Gold Tower when they release it, but right now it's designed with the aspect that you're going to go in with 1 to 2 people, essentially. Obviously, you're going to have more, probably, but 1 to 2 people will be 100% viable in there, which is good, because, I mean, sometimes I don't want a group of people. Fuck you guys, I want to do my own thing.
You don't have a group of like 80 people go and take it over together as one big giant Zerg. Whee!
I mean, you most definitely could, but it's designed with the aspect that it's going to be done with 1 to 2 people, which,
Yeah,
I mean,
small groups.
If you've read the forums, that's what people want. People want more soloable content, because I don't want to play with people in my MMO.
Really? That's kind of odd. Play with people in your MMO? Why would you do that?
I don't know. People in the forums all want more soloable content. I don't know.
So
What's that?
speaking of
Go ahead.
so speaking of soloable content, did they talk anything about the solo zone coming? Argonian?
Mirkwood is the next zone that's going to be released, and it's all about the Argonians. And according to Lawrence, there's some interesting shit that happen.
What?
There's interesting ships that happen.
I don't
Ships
know.
or shit?
Shit.
Shit.
I don't know much about Elder Scrolls lore, but apparently Argonians are some fucked up people. There is some weird stuff that happened with Argonians.
You're saying that they're not already weird as it is with being born from the Hist? Just kind of like the only difference I see between a wood elf and a troll is trolls accepted who they are.
From what I understand, the Argonians have a really weird mating ritual with their cloaca.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Steve.
They're different. Like those, I would say, like going into this game, were the two races that I went for their entire culture. These are some really different cultures. Okay.
Well, when I was talking to Lawrence today, that was one of the things he actually mentioned. He's like, what I love about the Elder Scrolls is the culture of it is unlike any other game. Like, you can look at every single race and it appeals to a totally different type of person every time. Like, some people like the Argonians because of their attitude, and some people like the Bretons because of their attitude. Every race has its own sort of depiction
You're
of what
starting to break up again.
You're going down, man.
Going down. We haven't even got to the best part yet.
Here's the best part.
Champion system.
All right, I'm good now.
Better. Let's try it.
What now?
All right.
What now?
Sounds a lot better there.
All right. So what do you guys want to talk about now?
Well, I think we covered that was PvP, and I think that's all that's left is the champion system, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, and for the Imperial City, if anybody knows anything about it, the Zivkin is the motif for the Imperial City that you're able to learn. You.
Pronounce it
Zivkin.
one more time.
Zivkin. Xivkyn.
Should we do the Imperial Pronunciations challenge again like we tried last time?
No, that is 100% correct. I had Lawrence tell me. Zivkin.
All right, well, yeah, I guess this is what people have been waiting for all day. So it's time to call it a night. We'll see you guys later, right? That was a
Well,
good
thanks
show?
for coming by. That was
Yeah.
our first episode.
I can tell more of my bad dad jokes now that we're winding down.
All right, so champion system. How bad is this going to change the game?
Oh, it's completely going to change the game, basically. So the end goal, but the end goal is what they plan to do once they start releasing it, is they plan to get rid of vet levels. The vet levels is a thing of the past. They don't want it anymore. It's not. It didn't work out the way they intended, basically. And what they want to do, and it's a really cool aspect, and I'm really excited for it, is essentially they want to make it so it's a horizontal progression instead of a vertical progression. So you're not going to continually go up in levels. Once you hit level 50, sorry?
I said, oh, thank goodness. I'm so glad that you're going to do that.
Yeah, like a really good aspect to getting rid of vet is anybody who's vet 14 will be quote unquote on par with a level 50. Now I know a lot of people are like,
how is that going to get powerful? There's the champion point, and if you've watched the QuakeCon video, you would have saw that pretty looking sky thing with all the constellations.
Like in Skyrim and stuff, how it was for your
Yeah.
points.
Exactly. So you'll get champion points that you'll put into those, and so those will basically improve on what you can do. So maybe you put it into the warrior and you want either added health. So say, for example, you put 1 point into warrior and that's 1% more health. Or you can put it into the thief and get 1% more poison resist or something like that.
Garbrac,
Yes.
how are these points accrued?
Exactly. Through leveling, so it's EXP, so it's experience points basically. The more you play, the more you'll get. Essentially, it's going to take an hour per point, and there's 1,200 points.
Whoa, nice.
And you can
Nice.
and how many things are there to spend it in? Is it proportional to how many points you can accrue, or are you gonna have to pick and choose and you'll never be able to max it out?
Well, the way it works is so you have to follow a certain system. So your first point you have to follow, like you have to drop it into the warrior tree first, and then you have to drop it into the thief tree, and then you have to drop it into the main tree. You have to keep going around the circle. But the warrior tree has 3 different constellations, each one having 4 different abilities that you can put it into. So there's potentially 12 different points or 12 different benefits that you could drop your point into. And even though it's the warrior, if I play a mage or my healer, there's benefits to a healer inside the warrior tree. And you can put a total of 700 into one point if you wanted to. I don't know why you would, but maybe you want
700 into one tree or 700 into 1 point?
into 1 point.
So
Wow.
if the passive that increases my health by 1%, I could put 700 points into it and increase my health by 700%.
If that's the way it was coded, yes, but that's not the way it's coded.
I was going to
Okay.
say that could be kind of broken.
Well,
As soon as you said that, I'm like, I hope they don't do that.
So the system is designed that the first points you put into this system are going to be more powerful than the last point you put into the system. So, for example, if it's 1% for the first point you put into it, maybe at 50 points or whatever, it then becomes 0.1% increase.
So there's diminishing returns on the points.
Yeah, so the
It's
more
going to be like
points
the soft
the
caps,
less-
essentially.
you're going to get out of it, but you're still going to get more. You know what I mean?
It's going to be like the soft caps, essentially, that are in game right now, just with
You're
your
removing
points.
soft caps.
But I mean, it's just like the concept of the soft caps, where once you hit the certain point, which would be like the first one, it starts doing diminishing returns over and over.
Well, it's not that it returns diminishing returns. You just don't get as full of a benefit. You're still getting the benefit. It's not a negative thing. It's a balance thing.
Well, that's the thing with soft caps. It never was a negative thing. You just weren't getting as much as what you were in the first place.
Yeah, but like I mean, if you put 700 points into one thing, you might still gain 5% increase in whatever that is that you were doing. Like the champion system it's not designed to take somebody and make them into a god. It's just to make them slightly more powerful than someone who's not.
I had a question that was in Twitch chat from Prue. I don't know how to
Pew
say it. Pew Pew. Ah, yeah. They're spelled differently. He was wondering and stuff, and this is a good question. The VR14 gear that a lot of people have crafted made into legendary, is that going to be changed because once that thing is gone, like will it go back down? What will happen to all the different levels of gear there that were originally there?
When they eventually get rid of the vet ranks, there's a good chance that gear is going to be useless anyways. So the way they're going to do it in phases. So right now we're on phase 1. Phase 2, we're going to start seeing some of the abilities changing. Phase 3, we'll see the champion system. Phase 4 will be vet rank completely gone. So there is going to be an overlap where we have the champion system plus we still have vet ranks.
Okay, so there'll be a transition period between the two.
So once they eliminate the vet rank, essentially everything just drops down to 50.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like a negative thing. Oh my God, all my stuff dropped down to 50. I'm going to be weak. You're still as
Yeah.
powerful as you were. It's just you don't have that number to show it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they did what they should have done in development and make a not ass backwards leveling system.
In a way, yes. I mean, I had this conversation with Lawrence and some of the other developers today. A lot of people on the forum say, "Okay, this game's in beta. The game's in beta," and I understand where they're coming from. And in a small sense, I do agree that Elder Scrolls Online may feel like a beta at times. But you got to take into account at how advanced this game is. There isn't a game on the market that can compare to the systems that are in Elder Scrolls Online right now. Think of how many items are interactable in the world. How many all the systems that are in place to keep players doing things. It's just this game is so far advanced over everything else that when they release the game, they're like, okay, let's get this out there. Let's see what the community thinks of it, and we'll start changing it on their feedback, which might look like a bad system, but now we're getting a game that's catered to us. We're not getting a game that was pushed out by developers that all they want is money.
To
You know what I
me,
mean?
I think to me it sounds like they're slowly changing it back into the Elder Scrolls MMO that I originally wanted when it launched originally, because I saw all these things that they just kept introducing to appease the MMO side of the crowd, which I get, but as an avid Elder Scrolls single player for a very long time, I see them bringing it slowly back into the Elder Scrolls realm of weighing of doing business, and that just totally makes me happy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely
I
taking
think
some.
that was their intent, is to release a game that is Elder Scrolls, and when they released this game, they had the intention. Okay, maybe this is what people want. Like I said, nobody's tried a game like this. Nobody's tried to
Right.
do such an advanced game, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh well, there's so many games that are like Elder Scrolls Online. There really isn't. Like, take into account how many things in the world are lootable and how much work and how much system resources that takes. And that's just one feature. When we first got the game, there might have been 300 to 400 physical lootable items throughout the world. Now there's over 1,200, and they want to increase that up to like 4,000 when the justice system comes out. Like, I mean, there isn't a
Also, they
game.
actually talk a bit about the justice system today.
I
Like,
was talking to a couple developers today about what exactly it is, but we talk more about that tomorrow.
okay,
Um,
yeah, because
so
there's
that's
already,
like,
like you're saying, so many things to pick up. Like, I would actually be kind of. It was a question that was actually proposed to me earlier. Like, it's going to be dangerous with the justice system coming out with being careful what you pick up, because there's already so many things in the game that you can pick up randomly.
mhm. Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about because they haven't officially given it to me. I just got it from a couple of developers, but there's
You
Um,
interrogated them, waterboarded them for a bit.
yeah. There's this
Well,
justice.
Garbrac, maybe we should hold off on doing the justice system until you finish talking to them, and we could finish talking about the champion system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
There was a question in chat about VR4. Like, if you're VR14, will you still get credit, like additional credit, if you're VR14 over level 50? Or otherwise, he's asking like if you should just get all his alts to 50 and stop.
Okay, so the way it's working right now is they are currently monitoring how much time you play on your vet character. So only level 50 or higher characters will be able to earn champion points. And the time that you put into that will be accumulated and put into one big pool, essentially. So even if you have 8 alts that are over level 50, if you play one for an hour, another for an hour, another for an hour, you're still going to earn the same amount of points as if you just played one for an hour. It doesn't matter how many you have, because everything gets put into a pool, and the champion system is essentially an account-wide system. So even if you unlock all 1,200 points, one character can spend all those 1,200 points on a different build, and another character can put them on a different build. So the points are account bound, but the builds are character bound.
Oh, that's good. That was going to be my question I was going to ask too, is if once you set up the whole champion system point allocation thing, is that going to be across your whole account? But yeah, now that you can specifically set it up per character, that's actually kind of a brilliant idea.
Yeah, the points are count bound. The builds or whatever you want per character, which is I think a fantastic system. And there's a Enlightenment is another feature that they're adding in with the champion system.
Enlightenment.
Yeah, I kind of think of it like rested experience is the easiest way to think of it.
Nice.
And Enlightenment is only earned if your account has a level 50 character or higher. And again, it all goes into one giant pool, so it doesn't matter how many 50s you have. As long as you have 150, you will start earning Enlightenment. So if you log off of that level 50 and play another character, or if you log off for the night, it doesn't matter. You're going to start earning Enlightenment, which when you log back in, you're going to earn more champion points. And again, it's just like rested experience.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so what I'm saying, it sounds like Paragon levels for D3, and from the descriptions of Paragon levels, it does sound kind of similar, because I basically played D3 for the story and then was like, okay, done.
Yeah, like an easy way to kind of understand the champion system and how it kind of works is if you played SOTOR, it's the legacy system with the ability to change it per character.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Someone was asking if there's going to be a shrine to reset the champion skill points, like the Shrine of Mara, the Shrine of Stendar, and the Shrine of Akatosh.
It will fully respec. There's options to respec a single point. There's options to respec a whole section, like if you want to do just the warrior, or if you want to do the whole damn thing.
Nice.
Yeah, you are able to fully respec everything.
So Garbrac, was there any talk at the summit today about itemization? And what I mean by that is, did they talk at all about the convoluted weapon crit, spell crit system? Is there any news on that?
That is tomorrow morning, but what exactly are you looking for in the last?
Well, can you ask them if they're going to like take it away and make it less obnoxious, where some spells are, weapon-based crit and weapon damage. Some spells are spell crit, spell-based damage. It's just a whole lot of extra itemization and gearing and stuff that I don't necessarily think is relevant or necessary in this game. They could just make a single crit stat, single damage stat that would help immensely in their itemization for sets that drop and stuff.
Well, with the champion system, they're removing the whole soft cap. Like soft cap is non-existent now, and they're redoing the tooltips as well to be a lot more informative. So we'll be able to see the benefits that we get, and it's really hard to explain without having the diagram in front of you. But they're changing the way all the stats essentially work, in a sense that right now, for example, a cloth tank can hit armor cap without even wearing heavy armor, and that just makes absolutely no sense. Like, why? Just by using their abilities and stuff like that, they're able to hit that cap. Now they're going to change it to a way where you'll still be viable as a light armor tank, but you will not be nearly as viable as a heavy armor tank. You will have more armor. You will be able to. So, for example, armor itself, they classed as base, and when they change it, you're going to get like a 20, or I think it's 18% is what they said. 18% of your total armor is going to come from base. So if you have light armor, you're obviously not going to have a very high base if you're in light armor in comparison to heavy.
As it should be.
Exactly. And you get like a 2% of your or 4% of your armor comes from the reinforcement trait, and there's a 20% comes from like your buffs, and 24%, which is the biggest chunk, comes from the champion levels. So when this drops, what we know of the game and how we play the game is going to be completely different. Like the builds we have they're not even going to be viable anymore.
Throw them out the window.
If you're a min-maxer, if you don't really care about that, then you can still play the way you want.
Well, people will be definitely changing up their different sets and their traits at that point, because without the soft caps, then people will go heavier for at times probably primary stats or different things like that. Did they mention any new sets potentially coming out? So also tied to the champion
There's a
system.
9-trait set.
There's a 9-trait set.
Yeah, you're able to craft a 9-trait set.
So I was correct when I guessed that they were putting in Nirnhorn to make it so you could craft a 9-trait set.
Yeah, so the 9-trait
God.
set will give you health, stamina, magicka, as those are your 3. And your 9-trait in the 5th part is you're able to have 2 Mundus stones.
What?
Did you say
Yeah.
2 Mundus stones?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's again gonna change everything.
That's a pretty big buff.
Now, is that just 2 Mundus stones or 2 stones of any kind?
2 Mundus buffs.
Oh, wow. Nice.
That's the 9-trait armor. And there's new sets coming out for like the Undaunted dailies and stuff like that. So, but yeah, the 9-trait set it's pretty good, and it's going to be very expensive.
Yeah, it's gonna be, and that's the thing. Like all these different changes, like with the champion system, how they're changing the crafting, the new sets, the new Undaunted sets. It's going to change a lot. Also, the new Dwemer style. It's going to change a lot of things in the market for supply and demand. Like the market's going to change dramatically for different things. There's going to be a high demand for a lot of these new items, but people are going to have a tough time getting them. And especially when the champion system comes out and changes the entire dynamic of how gear is and what you're going after, everyone's going to be hitting the markets hard.
Yeah, and especially with the way they're releasing the Dwemer motif, and the fact that you can't just learn it all at once unless you find this exceptionally rare book. I mean, you're gonna have to try and find people that can do your pants, somebody that can do your gloves, and
Actually, the more and more I think about that whole now they're going to do this with all motifs, right? Or is it just a certain motif?
they're gonna do it with the Dwemer first, and they're gonna go based on our feedback, like on the players' feedback. And if we like it, they'll continue to do it. If we don't like it, then they'll just trash that idea.
I got to tell you, just in my opinion, that sounds like the most obnoxious pain in the ass thing that I could possibly think of. I'm just being honest. Like, I do not want to spend 2 hours tracking down somebody to make my shoes in a certain motif if I want it to look that way. I just think that's fucking stupid. But that's just me.
No, I see your point, but as an avid crafter myself, I think it's going to be kind of interesting to allow me to open up my market to other places. So,
well, the thing is, you gotta also look at the other perspective, Alex. You got the thing of where you don't want to waste the time, but then the person that has that one motif is like, I'm gonna charge you everything for it. So he's gonna make.
Yeah, but I'm not a 14-year-old that doesn't have a job. You know, like I have other things to do besides sit around and find all the motifs. You know, if I getting the book and learning all the different pieces from the book. I mean, I just think it's dumb because, yeah, I'm going to want my armor to look like Dwemer, let's say, and then I'm going to spend, 3 weeks looking for the one guy on DC that can make the pants. Like,
I'll tell you what, I'll try to make sure to track it down, and I'll make sure to learn it so I can craft stuff for you. Okay, Alex?
I see your point, man. I do.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. I think it's dumb.
Well, that's where the cross guilds come in handy. Like, I mean, if you're in a trading guild, the chances, if you're in a big trading guild that has 500 people, you're going to have a higher chance of someone knowing that motif than specifically just your realm, right?
Well, we all play on Daggerfall Covenant, which is the smallest population of the 3 factions. I mean, I already feel the pinch on some things as it is now, trying to track down stuff or people that can do a certain thing. I think that's just going to exacerbate the problem for us specifically. I'm sure EP and AD are not going to have the same problems with that we would, but I mean, I think it's dumb. That you can tell them that's my feedback, and I'm important.
Oh no, I mean, there's a lot of people here.
That's the point of the Guild Summit.
But personally, I think it's great because I hate having everything handed to us. And I mean, Elder Scrolls Online is a game that so far hands everybody everything. I mean, there is really no progression in the sense that you actually have to log in and try to get something. If I have like I'm Garbrac. I have almost the best gear, and I haven't done trials. Like, I mean, that's kind of sad in a sense. I mean, once I get my ring, really, what else do I have to do? Where with these motifs, I have to go out and actually try and find them, and it's keeping the rarer items more rare. And as Paul said on at QuakeCon that once we release more stuff, the older stuff will become easier to get. Like he even said that maybe they'll sell that gear. So
Oh wow.
like
Well,
he said that.
Like sell the gear like microtransactions, or have it be able to be
On a vendor.
traded?
On a vendor.
Okay, because you about put sand in my vagina there for a second.
Oh.
No, not real money cash. It's all in-game gold.
Yeah, there was a big fear from a lot of people, and this was even in the zone chat when I was mentioning that they were going to be doing this. When I was talking about this, people like, are they going to, since they're doing this big guild summit that they're announcing free to play, and I'm sitting there going, oh please God no, oh please God no. Oh,
All right, so
pages.
kind of along the same lines, I guess since we're talking a little bit about crafting, I heard some rumors about Maisie poison making and jewel crafting. Did they talk anything?
So there's spell crafting, poison, potion making, jewel, did I say jewel crafting? Spell crafting, jewel crafting, poison crafting. They're all things that are eventually going to happen. But like I said, right now their priorities are obviously fixing the issues that are in the game now.
Right.
But in terms of content, their priority is justice system and the champion system. Champion system, I think, is going to hit before the justice system does, though.
Yeah, the two.
Oh, really?
Those are two systems that a lot of people have been looking for, because for both of them are going to change huge dynamics of the game for overall.
Well, I didn't even think about it, but the justice system is, in all honesty, to me, when I first heard it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a lot of work for them. But it's stupid the amount of work. They have to go back and change all of the guard text to work with the justice system.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of work, and that's just guards. That's not, like, they have to go around into all the lootable items in the game and all the lootable crates and put in the ability to loot something unique or something that's important. That could be just something that you want to steal, essentially.
Additional voiceovers, yada yada.
Yeah, and I never thought about that. I mean, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's just kind of like you're talking about the champion system, where the champion system is more rewriting the game mechanics on the back end. The justice system is more writing like all the things you're interacting with on the front end. So it's changing to essentially the whole, between the two of them, they're changing the entire game completely.
Yeah, and I honestly don't think the community realizes the extent that they're doing. Like, I would say in about, I can't really say, in at least 6 months, the game that we have then is going to be absolutely nothing to what we have now. I mean, maybe the 6 month from now game is what should have been released, but I wouldn't have waited. In all honesty, if they would have pushed it back that far, I would have been like, fuck you guys, I'm going to play something else.
Yeah. I'm glad that I've been sticking through it, because like each thing that comes out, we definitely keep on seeing progression in all these really interesting, good concepts that are coming out, and I'm glad that they keep on pushing through. It's painful as they're slowly fixing stuff, but as they keep on fixing things, I just keep on overlooking a lot of the side things and enjoying the game for what it is right now. It may be painful at times, like the group bug, which I'm hoping that they will fix, but otherwise it's still incredibly enjoyable. You guys got anything else right now?
In terms of bugs, the best thing we can do is just provide them with as much detail as we possibly. Like, don't just tell them, oh, there's this stupid group leader bug's not working. It keeps happening. Like, give them as
Specifics.
much information as you can. Be like, okay, this is what we were doing when it happened. Like, I clicked this button and for some reason this happened. If you think it's a stupid thing to give them, give it to them anyways. because like they even said, the part of the reason it takes so long to fix things is because they can't replicate it. If it's an issue that doesn't come up every time, they can't fix it. They have to replicate it to find the problem.
Okay, so for all the bug testers out there that are watching this from ESO, just so you know, the group leader bug, you can replicate it because it is all the time for me in my guild. Like 100% of the time, if we're in a group, it is group leader bugged. So replicate that.
I don't get it that often.
I mean, we have a lot of problems
this
with it. We have a lot of problems with it.
It's gotten worse since this last patch. Like, something in this last patch broke something again where it wasn't that bad until since this last patch. It's been doing it like almost consistently. A couple of and they actually posted up, they asked people to contact them right now if you have anything like any of the special funky things in your name, you can't invite them into group. It's known bug right now, and they've been trying to work on that because there's a couple of friends in guilds.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It was happening a lot last night, wasn't it? When we were trying to invite up
me,
the group.
you, B.
Every
It
time
took us
you'd
20
invite somebody
minutes.
new into the group, there would be no group leader. Oh, come on.
Or I couldn't invite them unless they're standing like right on top of me. I'm like, okay, then I have to type in your @name. Yeah. But is there any more information you got from the Guild Summit?
I'm just going through, like, I didn't take any notes. I know it sounds really bad, but I recorded it all. So as soon as I get home, I'm going to throw the raw audio up on YouTube, and I'm going to be doing videos and articles explaining everything in as much detail as I can. But I'm just looking here at the list. So combat responsiveness, like I said, they're changing the way attacks work and the feel of them to make them feel like you're actually performing these attacks instead of just pushing a button. Crafting, there's 2 new motifs coming. The provisioning revamp is huge. They're basically reducing the amount of provisioning items to like 50%. What you see is what you get is another big thing. So if you see something like, if you see greens in a bag, you're not going to get pepper. You're going to get green. If you pick up grapes, you're not going to get pepper. You're going to get grapes.
Yeah.
So what you see is what you get, which is another big thing that they're really adamant on and really focusing on.
I liked getting garlic from a bushel of apples. What are you talking about?
They're changing the way some of the food works. So if you want a food that does health, you're going to have to put meat in it. If you want food that does stamina, you have to put, I think it's a fruit. And if you want, no, I think is it fruit? I don't know.
Did they ever improve, like, are they going to upgrade the food levels at any point? Like,
they're going to be releasing Vet 10 stuff.
All right.
So we're going to see some Vet 10 food coming out, which will obviously have better buffs. So that'll definitely help us do some of the trial content. But since I have you guys here, we had this debate today. Like we were talking about. The whole blocking issue. It's been a very common topic this week, and how players, all they do is block. I mean, it basically negates any potential CCing, or it's essentially reduces all damage by 50%. So why even have a block feature in it? Just give people reduced damage. What's your guys' thought on people able to block and cast? If you're blocking, should you be able to cast an ability, or should blocking take priority?
I think blocking should take priority.
So if you are holding
blocking should take priority.
you cannot perform anything other than, say, a dodge roll or a bash.
Right. I mean, what am I blocking like this and holding a staff? And I mean, come on.
Beat them over the head with the staff.
I mean, just approaching it from a min-maxer point of view, and from, I'm a hardcore endgame raider. I don't care if it doesn't make sense that you can block and hold a staff and then shoot a fireball out of your hand. Anybody in the game right now has that same opportunity. It is balanced in the sense that I can block and shoot a fireball, and you can block and shoot a fireball. So really, what does it matter?
I understand that point. That's very and stuff because everybody can do it.
But the fact that everyone can do it, does that not negate the whole aspect of blocking? Like the intention of blocking.
No, because if you weren't blocking, you wouldn't have the damage reduction. Weren't you paying attention?
But if blocking, the act of blocking is supposed to be a defensive thing, not a permanent buff.
I think that's your opinion. I mean, that's just kind of one of those things where, I mean, I think it's partially a realism kind of issue. Is this realistic that you can block and shoot fireballs and, you know, put stuff on the ground and cast your spells and stuff? No, that's not realistic. But, you know, then again, there's dragons in this game. So, I mean, like,
Dragons, I haven't seen any.
whatever, you knew what I meant.
But that like this is the debate we've been having is because some of us feel that the whole blocking in PvP is just stupid and you shouldn't be able to whole block and cast all your abilities.
I mean, if it's a stupid thing, like I think that's dumb because I don't like the way that system works, then that's different, and I think a different argument than what you were trying to make, other than is it broken or unbalanced.
The whole debate stems from the fact that if all I do is hold block, you're not really doing what blocking is supposed to be doing. Blocking is supposed to be a
When an attack comes in, you like put up your shield.
Ability that you're supposed to actively do when you need it, not just you. Like right now, you might as well just duct tape your right mouse button down. Like that's essentially what it's become. And that's the debate we're having. I mean, we've even been having that debate with the developers, like just discussing.
Well, since you're debating with them, what was their point on it? What was their thought? Or are you not allowed to talk?
They didn't really have any real fight to it.
They're like, yeah, we'll look into that.
Yeah, like that was kind of what it was.
It was like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Hey guys, I think
So other than Talex, like, what do you guys? What does everyone else think? Like, are you all on? Do you all agree with Talex? Like, what do you guys think?
Well, I like what Noob Fridge just said in chat. Blocking should be a reactive skill, giving benefits to those who have the awareness to do so. Which, especially for like in PvP, that would be, I would see as benefit, like there where it's like you could definitely tell for like the skill of the player, then like if they'll survive a lot longer if they're more reactive to the blocking, like they'll be able to actually block things, like almost maybe put down like a cooldown on the block, like if you're just holding down the block.
Well, they already kind of have that, man. I mean, if you don't have enough stamina, you can't continue to block. I mean, it is balanced in the sense that everybody has the same rules and the same parameters and the same opportunity to block and negate the damage and still continue to cast their spells or whatever. So from a purely looking at it from a balance issue, I don't really see the problem. But if it's more of a flavor of the guild and of the game, and you don't really think that you should be able to do that because it doesn't make sense, that's a much more potent and powerful argument, I think. But I don't necessarily think that, you know, it's unbalanced at this time because everybody can do it and has the same rules and, you know, have to.
Well, it's not a sense of balance and unbalance. It's a sense of, does it negate the whole aspect of the game? Like I said, if all you're going to do is duct tape your mouse down to block, why even offer a block feature? Just give everyone a permanent 50% damage reduction.
But you can't duct tape your mouse button down.
Sure,
you run out of stamina.
But that's the way it is. Like if you PvP, that's all people do is they just hold block down. Stamina is such an easy thing to get back, especially if you eat purple food. I mean, I can hold block down on my healer all the time, and I never run out of stamina. Even getting hit, getting hit doesn't reduce as much stamina as I believe it should. Like one of the feedback I gave people was, well, maybe just holding block itself should cost stamina, and the more you hold it, the more stamina it costs.
I think I like Fallon ESO's comment there. I'd say that if you're going to keep block attacking, just reduce the amount of damage that you do while you're blocking by 40 or 50%. Wouldn't that kind of make a little bit of sense?
It's viable.
I mean, but like I said, that's the debate we're having, and I was just curious as to like what side of the
It's
fence.
definitely a good debate and stuff because it's things that get you thinking in a good discussion point. Because in anything, especially like at a guild summit where they're presenting ideas, you need to have these different discussions so that things can be hashed out and figured out.
Like another debate that we were having, which I'm pretty sure is going to come up tomorrow, especially with the first discussion that we're going to have, is the removal of PvP buffs from PvE, because they offer essentially an unbelievably unfair advantage to PvEers in the fact that you essentially need them to beat the content, and if you don't have them, you just don't have the option to do the content. So in order to balance that out and to make time trials a little bit fair, is to remove those buffs completely. And that, again, that's another debate we were having. There's pros and cons to both sides. What do you guys think about that? Should
I mean, they're operating exactly as intended. They're rewards for doing well in PvP, right? So if you're not doing well in PvP, maybe you should go try hard.
But what if, like, for example, the only reason DC has a buff campaign is because nobody else plays on that one?
Well, I would also make the argument that DC has the lowest population. We have, not as many players to actually go and be competitive on some other servers. So I don't know about you, but I still have all of my buffs. So really, what's the problem?
Well, what
if we can do it, then EP and AD should be able to do it, right?
Sorry?
I said if DC is able to have a buff server and be competitive in that way that we have all of our buffs, then EP and AD shouldn't have a problem, right?
Well, EP doesn't have a buff campaign, and they don't have the people to get out there and actually make a buff campaign. Because right now, DC owns one.
That sounds like an EP problem. Like they need to maybe coordinate and try and actually fight the AD and DC. I mean, I'm just saying, like, as intended, I think the idea behind the buffs were that the better you do in PvP, the better buffs you get. And
yeah, but PvE. What if you're not a PvP player? You're forced, as a PvE player, you're forced to go to PvP to try and obtain these.
I'm not a PvP player at all. I think I've put maybe 2 dozen hours into Cyrodiil since release.
What it could do is, if I'm going to interject here, what it could do, and this is, I believe, what was the original intent behind the two things is, so if they wanted the two sides to work together, like a good PvE guild would partner with a good PvP guild, the two sides would work together, like, because there are a lot of things from PvE that are very useful for PvP, and so like they'd be able to maybe supply them with like some of the better gear and potions and different things for in the PvP. The PvP guys would make sure to hold down and lock down their campaigns to make sure that they had their buffs, make sure they had their Emperor for when they're going into the trials and the Dragonstar Arena and stuff like that. It would create like partnerships between guilds.
I mean, I'm just saying that if the intent behind the buffs are that they are a reward for doing well in PvP, then you should do well in PvP. I mean, I remember for a long time before I actually learned that you could get the buffs from PvP, I raided very successfully without having those buffs for a long time. And after I got those buffs, yeah, sure, they helped and made it easier, but I didn't need them to do the content. And I would still make the argument that if I turned them off right now, yeah, sure, I wouldn't do exactly as good as I'm doing right now with the buffs, but I don't think that it would be impossible to do the content. I disagree with that.
Well, it's not that it's impossible. You just get an unbelievable advantage to having them. I mean, 10%
as well I should, because DC's kicking ass on our server. I don't see the problem.
Nobody plays on Chillran, so the fact that DC's kicking ass on our server is
okay. So nobody plays on Chillran. I still don't see what the problem is.
I know, but it all stems back to buff campaigns and how right now AD owns like 3 and DC owns 1. But the removal of the buffs would put the PvE players on the same playing field as all other PvE players.
I was just making the point that DC has the lowest population. We don't have as many PvP-oriented guilds as the other two factions, and yet we still manage to have a buff server. So I don't think that that's unfair or an unfair advantage. AD and EP outnumber us like 5-1 the last time that I looked at the population stats of all three factions. So, I mean, it sounds kind of like an AD and an EP problem that they maybe need to coordinate amongst themselves and figure out how to get a server and make it their server. And that's kind of sounds like their problem. I'm just playing devil's advocate, man. Like I don't care about this as much as I'm arguing.
Well, you always need a devil's advocate on the show.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm the only one making it entertaining.
I'm sorry. I'll get my cat back here. Doggy, come here.
Where's your dog?
Come here. He's like, what the hell are you doing? But yeah, there's so many debates in this game for different things like that, like the stamina, PvP versus PvE and stuff, and how they intertwine. There's so much complexity to this game. That's part of the thing that makes it also so much fun. Like the skills and the abilities that are in there, you have so much diversity that is able to be played around with. Nothing is set in stone for different things. There's a lot of variation, and people say like this is the set build, but I've noticed from week to week the set builds seem to shift slightly in variation. Yeah, he keeps on mowing. Hi.
I don't know. I like for the buffs themselves. I mean, I was kind of on the fence on the removal. I mean, I'm fine with it. They remove them. It puts everyone on the same playing field, and that's fine with me. But if they remove them, then there's no push for PvE players to go into PvP. But yeah, like I said, that's just another heated debate that we've had here. And there's been a few heated debates that I thought.
I kind of feel like I'm the one person being a dick. Does anybody else that you were talking to at the summit have anything similar to what I had to say about it, or is it kind of all just one-sided? Like, yeah, we probably should get rid of it. I'm just curious.
No. There's, like I said, they've been pretty good debates, and there's people on both sides of it. Like, it's definitely not a one-sided thing. Me, like I said, personally, I can see the benefit to removing it and how it would put everybody on that fair playing field in terms of PvE, but I think it would be detrimental to PvP because the PvE players have no reason to go into PvP other than Imperial City when it's released.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there's any buffs from the PvP section as well.
I do know what skill tree did they say they were totally revamping or adding? I think they were. No, it was the PvP because they were talking about how after you hit vet 24 or rank 24, essentially you've unlocked everything and there's nothing else to unlock. They said they were going to be looking into expanding that and making PvP more worthwhile. If you've ever played Dark Age of Camelot, the PvP or RVR in that game, as you played the game, you earned realm points. You would put those into skills and abilities, which essentially progress your character even further. And that's kind of something that they want to have in ESO's PvP to make it feel like your character is still growing and not just being a stagnant person and just walking around killing people.
Well, we've definitely had plenty to discuss tonight, but we should probably save some of the, because you're going to have more information tomorrow. We should probably, think we've been holding these people captive for over an hour. So I think we should let them go and get some food or something. You guys up for calling it for a night, and we'll continue debate next week?
Yeah, next week I think we'll have a little bit more detailed information. I'll have all the audio. We'll all have heard it.
We can maybe play clippets at that point. But all right, guys, that's our show. Thanks for coming and watching us. We hope you enjoyed it. And just a sec. That's easier. I hope you enjoy and come back and enjoy us here every week on GameBreaker TV at 7:30 PDT. Well, yeah, definitely come and check out our deals. Yep. Wave! Run on over to the site. Along with all the other shows and news content, we got shows already for World of Warcraft. That includes Battle Talk, and we have a bunch of other shows that are on the way. If you like the show, definitely look us up. Let us know in the comments, and also make sure to follow us Twitter at GameBreaker TV. I'm Lee Enke, aka LumiTheLock. I am the guild leader for GameBreaker Nation. If you want, hit me up in game. Like I said, at LumiTheLock. You can go ahead and follow me at LumiTheLock on Twitter, and find me in ESO with the GB Nation folks that we're hanging out with and having a good time all the time. You can follow Ryan on Twitter at Garbrac, Garbrac, because it's actually Garbrac. Yeah, I said Garbrac.
Oh, you got it right this time.
And of course, make sure to follow Bill over at Engwar Forever on Twitter and Twitch. And Talex, I'll let you do your own.
I'm way too cool for a Twitter feed, so don't even look. But if you like me, if you think I'm funny, or if you are interested in rating on the DC side at a high level progression, definitely come check us out at daggerfallcrossteam.com. You can also contact me in game at Talex, Talex 490. Otherwise, I will see everybody next week.
Or if you just like to argue with him. Because
Yeah,
we'll have good debates.
I'm really good at that.
It's always good, man.
All right, everybody, thanks for coming, and I hope you guys had a good night. We'll see you here hopefully next week.